you being so high up on the spectrum as far as like belts and stuff like that, people think they know. Okay, I had a conversation with like a jujitsu, one of those jujitsu podcasts that I did, and I think people think they know what you're talking about, but unless you're reaching to that level of years of doing it and doing it and doing it, I don't think people fully understand. And I think that was that Jerry podcast too again, but we just talked a lot about a lot of shit. So my main question to that is that, see, some of the stuff that you're talking about, you see it different. We're interpreting things different, even though I'm telling you, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It's kind of like because you're on that level playing field, and then I might not fully understand. So, say if you were to go back to your younger years, growing up towards where you're at now, what advice would you give yourself? Kind of cliche question, very general, but then what advice would you give to your older self as you embark on your like jujitsu journey, I guess, from doing it all these years? Take yourself back and not from where you are right now, your younger and more naive self.
Yeah, I think I would get. It's so easy I remember when I was a blue and purple belt, dude. All I wanted to do was the coolest, flashiest, fanciest shit I could. Flying triangles, flying arm bars, and I was hitting them in competition. So I thought, oh, that's legit part of jiu-jitsu. Ask me how many I do nowadays.
Oh man,
0.
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
I think that it's so easy to get caught up, and it's almost part of the process to want to do as much as you can and learn as much as you can and have as many tools as possible. But if I can go back, I would fully focus on bad positions, just being bulletproof and not getting tapped from everywhere, being comfortable getting out of mount from everyone. I would focus on that and just the basics, knee cut passes and just the meat and potatoes of jiu-jitsu. And I would just completely disregard anything flashy, fancy, high risk, low percentage. And I would fully spend my time doing that because that's what I do now.
Yes.
As a black belt, So, but I think it's part of the process to play devil's advocate. I think it's, with any journey to a high level of anything, you kind of have to get as much information as you can so that you know what to get rid of to come out with, the main part of what you're looking for, that you're trying to master. So I think like the more jiu-jitsu you know, the less you're going to use because you have more to gauge those general concepts and principles with. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think like the more you do, the more perspective you have on those concepts and principles, and then the less you're going to use because you've understood the meat and potatoes again of all those things.
Yeah.
So I think it's part of the journey, but I would definitely go back and just really enjoy knowing that it's going to pay off for me one day even more, focusing on the meat and potatoes of jiu-jitsu, those basics and fundamentals and high percentage, low risk moves, bad positions. That's what I would focus on.
Yeah.
Because I didn't start doing that and really appreciating it until
the higher
brown or black belt, know?
Yeah. Kind of a contradictory question because hindsight's always 20/20. Like you could look back on it and be like, well, I wouldn't have done that. But then you are where you are because you did do that, right? It's almost like, well, you learned. So it's kind of like, you do what you do at that time because you didn't know any better.
Yeah.
So I think.
Well, I think the thing that helped me saying that, like, my journey got me to where I'm at, but what allowed me to get away with it for the way I did was just I showed up as much as I did.
Yep.
From the start, I was 5-6 days a week, sometimes 7.
Right. Yeah.
Every day, twice a day. If I worked, it was on the weekends when there wasn't much training. I revolved my life around it. So
would you say you were obsessed? Like, is that the word?
Yeah, 100%. Still,
Yep.
it's always, I've always been super passionate about it from day one. So I showed up consistent. Now, I want to give this advice because if you're training 3 days a week, that's awesome. That's amazing. That's consistent. And you're going to, get to a very high level one day and all good. Nothing wrong with it. If you don't have as many days to fuck off, you have to be you have to be a little bit more precise about what you're doing there. You have to have a little bit more focus and be a little more goal oriented because you don't have the 6 days I had to train.
Right.
You've got it 3. So now it's even more important for you to focus on bad position, fundamentals, and high percentage, low risk moves. And, that's why I would give that piece of advice. Because if I was trying to get as good as possible, as fast as possible, and I necessarily didn't have 6 or 7 days to train, that's the route I would take.
Yeah.
That,
which reminds me, and like this word sticks out to me, which is intentional training, right? Again, when I first started, it'd just be I'd count the days. You know what I mean? I'd be like, yeah, I showed up and stuff like that. But nowadays, when we talked about ego last time, I'm not even thinking honestly more about the other person. I'm just thinking about the positions. Like what I mean is that where my hands go, like say even just the basics, right? Even some of the things that I'll tell other students that you taught was if they're trying to put their head around in side control, that you kind of clamp down into a C. That alone, fucking hell,
Yeah.
like seriously, that and that one thing that we just talked about, and they're not submissions. They're not cool looking submissions.
Yeah.
It's just
Good
people have a
details.
fucking hard time, like
Yeah.
they're trying to get you inside control. Their arms all fucking this. They're getting frustrated. They got to go back and like reset their guard.
Yeah.
That's what I notice, and
Yeah.
it just every time I do that, right, it just blows my fucking mind. I'm like, that alone will reset a game. It's like that.
Yeah.
It's just a game changer with itself.
For sure.
So when I mean like intentional learning, I'm like, all right, well, I'm on my back. It's like my from my point of view, my I guess what I'm trying to say was my scope of how fast my brain's moving slowed down within those moves. Like when
Yeah.
you're in it, you're not such in a rush. You're just kind of like, oh, okay, his arm's here, so I'm. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's in
Yeah.
slow mo a little bit.
For sure. And those are two positions you're seeing it now.
Yeah.
And it almost snowball effects, and it should let you know it should be like that, and it can be like that for every position.
Yeah. Right.
So that's why,
right,
like when you start nerding out, like you've gotten to that point where now you're like appreciating and understanding what jiu-jitsu
seriously, it's
is,
just
you know?
learning. Yeah. Mhm.
And that's what jiu-jitsu is supposed to be. Every one of those positions, every position we're in, you should feel like that.
Mm.
And that's the goal,
Yeah.
right? With everyone. Like you eventually want to get to the point where you're in control and you understand what you're doing and you understand exactly where each one of your limbs is going and doing on everybody. And you're comfortable and you're chilling and your heart rate's not raising because you're just
Yeah,
using
right.
perfect technique and you're able to capitalize on everything they're doing, even with
That's a
me.
good one, yeah.
That's the goal. Are we ever going to get there? Am I ever going to be able to do that
Mm.
effortlessly, roll with my brother? Probably not, but that's the goal. And that's, I'm able to do that with certain people,
Yeah.
right? I'm sure you roll with people and it was super easy roll. Everything they did worked against them and you just kind of controlled them
Mm-hmm.
effortlessly. It should feel like that with everyone. And that's the goal. And
Yeah.
like,
Interesting.
and I'm saying this, this is another big thing I think I've grown as a coach. I used to, when I first took over the program, I wanted to prove how good of a coach I know how good of a coach I am. I know what I'm capable of. I know how much I love jiu-jitsu. I know what I've invested in. I know what I'm capable of as a practitioner and as a coach. So I wanted to prove that, and I wanted to give out the best product. So I was super hyper focused on making sure I can give the best product, and I'm trying to get everybody as good as possible, as fast as possible.
Mm.
And that's how you have to train, and that's how you have to be here every day. And right. And I still feel like that. We're there for a purpose. You guys are paying me for a service, and I want to make sure you're getting the best possible experience.